welcome back to Resilience by Faith podcast with your host. I'm Reese. If you're new here, welcome. Please subscribe. Please share this episode if you felt like it helped you or if I dropped any gems. Okay. Here we give God the glory. Here we share stories. We might not necessarily always say his name, but it couldn't have been anybody else but the Lord. Okay. Um, but I do have a very important topic to share with you today, and I got my coffee for this one. I'm not a real big tea drinker, but on this one, I would sip some tea because this one is about friends. And the title of this is Friends Come and Go. So you already know what we're going to be talking about. And this is definitely one that at first, when I was going through this, I didn't quite understand, because like my grandmother and my mom always told me, if somebody don't want to be your friend, don't worry about it. Leave them people, let them people stay right where they at. Everybody ain't meant to be your friend. And so I've that has been instilled in me since I was in like what elementary school. My grandparents been saying that, my mom's been saying that, but child, I have begged to be set free from this. I have literally begged to be set free from this. So, the last episode we all had together, we talked about trauma lessons and how to be more self aware and how to help yourself, but also how to cut people off. And then, this time, I want to talk about friends. So, sometimes when you've been through trauma, you have a certain attachment style. Okay. My style is mostly so anxious attachment style, um, and I've been working on that with my therapist and all. But when I get into this as friends, because y'all do know that betrayal always comes from people you know, right? Or people you felt like you know. Okay. Betrayal. When you say somebody betrayed you and you never saw it coming, and when people are like bent out of shape, and when they're literally hurt and crying, like when you get date again with the dating, that episode got to come up soon. That episode has to come. Okay. But with dating, like, you get to know somebody and you spend all this time with this person and you think this person knows you and they would never, and then when they do, you're so hurt. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with friends. Like, she would never, they know me, they would never. Child, they would. They would. They would. And this is just the type of world that we live in, unfortunately, but they would. Don't underestimate these people. Um, but with friends come and go, I literally beg to be set free from this. In elementary school, I had a friend that I would actually get jealous if they had other friends. So, okay, I know what y'all are about to say. You were that girl. I was that girl. I was that girl. But to my defense, um, I was going through abuse. I was going through, I was going through it as a child, and so any little bit of friendship or any little bit of alliance I could find, I try to find it and hold on to it. Okay, and so when my friend had other friends, I'm like, who is this? Who is coming into our circle? This is us. Do they have an invitation? Who is this person? Who is this person trying to be our friend? Because I wasn't aware. I didn't approve. And this is when I was I'm talking about like second grade, third grade. I took y'all all back. Of course, this wouldn't have been like middle school or anything like that, but that's where it started. It started when at me as a little peewee in elementary school, getting upset because I felt like I was very possessive. My friends are my friends, right? And so because of the lack of emotional support I had at home, I was literally looking for my friends to be there for me in ways that only family should be there for you. And I put too much emphasis on that and too much pressure on my friends. So, of course, with me being that girl, um, yeah, you can stress your friends out and not even know it. Like you put way too much pressure. You're trying to make them be something that they were never intended to be for you. Um, by wanting them to be your family, wanting them to be closer than close, thick as thieves, two peas in a pod. You can be all that, but I think that because of my lack of emotional support and intelligence, of course, as a child, and nobody was teaching me these skills, um, I put too much pressure on my friends. And to an extent, you can actually end up pushing them away. Yeah, and doing the opposite of what it is that you want. Oop. And so I did that. I would say up until like we went to the next phase. So I would just say maybe like fifth, sixth grade is when I like cut that out. But I'm sharing this with you guys because for those of y'all out here who identify and like y'all are picking up a vibe and y'all are like vibing with me, you tracking with me, like you following, you understand, like you can identify with that. You are not alone. Um Definitely, and it's not your fault. It's just what happens when you don't have what you need as a kid. So, um I would definitely say I beg to be set free from this. I didn't understand why I loved my friends so hard and so much that I didn't want anybody else to come in the picture because I was afraid that that person would take away what I have, what I thought I had. Um, and so I had to make sure that my friend, saw my value, saw my worth, and that they only wanted to be my friend. And that was elementary school. But I'm going to show y'all how this transformed as I gotten older. Um, Secondly, I had to heal. I had to learn about me and then I had to heal. So, kind of going back to the last episode, if you haven't listened to Trauma Lessons, you need to listen to that episode because we talked a lot about learning about yourself and healing in that episode and how to start your journey if you're starting from ground zero. Where to start, where can you go, where can you find some help? And so I had to come to terms that this was something that I did not get, like, which as for emotional support, but it was no one else's burden to give me but my family. Um, and I had to learn that this was a toxic trait, and I had to ask God to help me be freed from this because I could see how it was starting to affect my friends, which was in turn affecting me and making me look like, oh my God, is there something wrong with me? My friend don't want to be my friend anymore. My friend don't want to hang out with me anymore. Why are they, being pushed away from me when I'm trying to like smother them with love? Because I was trying to smother them with love. Like literally, I was trying to smother them. So my anxious attachment style rolled over into friendships, not just like, I think all relationships, anxious attachment, anxious attachment. So definitely that was something that my family was supposed to be giving me and I didn't get. So I had to ask God to help me be freed from that. Um, and I got tired of man disappointing me. So man, woman disappointing me. And I was let down by people that I knew. Like I was telling y'all about, that betrayal always comes from people that you knew or know and you thought, God, they know me well enough not to do that, and they did it anyway. So don't put your trust in man. What is that TikTok? But I can't say those words, but yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. Don't How you put your trust in a person, silly person, how you figure. Like that's that TikTok, I'm telling you. But yeah, like God had to literally show me where I was getting hung up at. And it was terrible. It was terrible. It was a terrible devastation that I was being revealed to. My eyes was being opened and I was like, wow. So you mean to tell me this whole time the problem was me? But then I went from that to learning, oh, the whole time the problem was my childhood and the tools that I was given, or should I say, was not given. Um, so I was like, wow, okay. So I got tired of being hurt, and um, yeah, like I guess I can share with you guys this one friendship that I had. So the friendship that I shared with you guys earlier is with like my bestie. We're still besties to this day. It's just that we don't talk every day, but we don't have to talk every day. I think that TV does a bad job at showing what friendship should be like. It's either the cliques of the people who run together, or it's just like, oh, we have to talk on the phone every day. We have to see each other every day. Again, that two peas in the pod, thick as thieves type of thing. It's not real life. It's not real life. People got things to do. People are busy. People are not going to sit on the phone with you every day, all day, for 4 hours a day. Um, that's just not necessarily what friendship should be. I think that we should embrace the fact that friendship should be cultivating healthy boundaries with each other, and of course being there to love and support each other, but also knowing that we all have our lives and we all have to go live them. So we can't be up under each other all the time and do everything together. I think if we can get rid of like how they show that on TV to the kids, they won't grow up thinking like that, and then they won't be looking for that, because then when you don't have that, then you think something is wrong with you because you saw it on TV, so you know it's possible. The kids know it's possible, but then they don't see it and they're just like, well, I don't have a clique of friends. Well, I don't. And definitely growing up as a female, like that's what you're looking for, that acceptance. And I can only, I mean, maybe I'm only speaking for myself, but you think you're supposed to have like these 200,000 friends that y'all hang out and do everything together. And what I have learned growing up is that literally you can have a good one or two friends, and that's really all you need. That's really all you need. And again, grandma, my mom used to tell me this when I was younger. I can count on my hand how many real friends, I mean, true blue friends we have, like I have. And I didn't understand that, but now I do, because literally I'm almost 30 and I literally only have like a handful of friends that I can call on, and I'm thankful for that, because even that is a lot. Like a handful is a lot, um, especially in today's day and age. But I had this friend in college that I thought we were going to be friends. So this is like years later. I made a friend. We did everything together. That was my going out friend, taking trips friend. And I just thought that me and this girl was just going to be friends until the very end. Well, I had another friend that I would hang out with all the time, but like in another category. So you got your friends that you go out with. You go out when I was of the streets, when I was in those clubs, okay, before the Lord came and changed my mind and my perspective. I was in those streets. And so I had a girlfriend for those streets. I had a girlfriend for school. I had a girlfriend for kickbacks. I had a girlfriend for this, for that, for this, for that. And so I would be the person that would try to bring all of my friends together, because I thought, gosh, you're wonderful. You're a wonderful person. And oh, you're wonderful too. Maybe all two wonderful people should meet and we can all be wonderful together. And that's not always it, because I had to learn the hard way that all your friends might not want to be friends, and all your friends might not can't be friends. And that caused problems in putting you in the middle. But anyway, I had a friend that I introduced to my other friend. And I went on, I graduated, and I graduated on time. One of my friends had to graduate on her time, of course, because in college isn't always 4 years for everybody. So I had a friend who it took her 6 years to get her degree, and I had another friend who had to retake 2 classes, so she couldn't graduate with me. So that pushed her graduation to the spring. Well, when I graduated, they got together because they knew each other because of me. And I was happy because that's what I wanted. As I was getting ready to go into PA school, because I went into PA school right out of college, right out of undergrad, I was like, hey y'all, like, I hate this, but you know that I'm going to PA school. It's gonna be hard. There may be times when I can't respond to you. It may be times when I'm not going to be able to be there, and I just want to give y'all a heads up before all that starts so y'all won't think like I'm not talking to you or I'm neglecting you or whatnot. Just trying to like be thoughtful and give a heads up. So tell me why, like, when I sent out the group message, everybody in the message got offended. And I was like, I'm just letting y'all know what's coming down the pipe before it gets here. I'm not doing this on purpose. I'm just letting you guys know I'm not going to have time like I used to have. Well, they got offended. And I was like, okay, that sounds like a personal problem. So I'm going to exit stage left. When I exited stage left, the two people that I introduced became best friends, right? And I was like, well, that's wonderful. They have somebody that they can be with or whatever. Well, fast forward a couple of months, they're finally graduating, and I decided to show up to the graduation um, to be there for them, to be supportive. And I was greeted by, um, "Oh, you're not part of the group anymore." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But that's not the way, like, I tried to give the benefit of the doubt, and I was like, well, that's not the way that they mean it. So I'm going to just keep hanging out with them like an idiot. Because I know that, I'm in post grad school, graduate school, but I also know that I know these people. Like they wouldn't do me like that just because. So I'm still gonna stay here because I know that maybe I'm taking things the wrong way and I'm being too sensitive. And these are my people. Like, how could they not? Like, we're always gonna be friends. I was wrong. So here comes the feelings of betrayal because I was greeted with, oh, well, I cut you off and I shouldn't have done it that way, but that's just the way that I had to do it. And I was greeted with basically like, it is what it is. Sorry, you're hurt. Bye type of thing. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, I really don't have time to dwell on this because I am in school and I need to be focused on school. But I can't help but think about that because when I'm in postgraduate school, I don't know them people like I knew them because we spent like 4+ years together. And so I was like, nah, we ain't going to do that. Like, we can't do that. Like, these are my girls. But it was something that I had to learn that people come and go. People are either in your life for a reason or a season, and never put your trust in man/woman. I mean, it just is what it is. And even today, I have a handful of friends that I feel like I can count on, but being the life experiences that I've been through, I tried, of course, not to have an anxious attachment style. So, of course, first, I try to check myself. But then, secondly, I try to be realistic with myself. And I'm like, do you really think that, not paranoid or like naive, but just like you got to have a balance, a good balance of naive, a good balance of paranoia, a good balance of boundaries. And so, like, just being realistic with yourself. And that's the way I choose to think when I have friendships now is, like, this person is great for this season and all, but if they were to walk out my life, I would be okay. At least I got a chance to know them and share this time with them, and I have this experiences with them, and somebody else will come along because life is all about meeting people and passing. I mean, we're all just passing by, and that's just the way you have to look at it. People are not meant to be in your life full time, maybe. And then there are some people who are meant to be thick as thieves and two peas in a pod, and and people can be friends forever. Usually I see that on social media or TikTok, somebody been friends for like 14 plus years. That's wonderful. If you can find people like that that have the same values, mindset as you. But you ultimately have to know yourself. You have to know what you're looking for, and you have to know or be okay with being by yourself. And knowing that, hey, this person can leave up out my life at any time, no matter how close we are, because we're all, again, just passing through. So that's the way I choose to look at friendships now. I try not to put too much pressure, too much emphasis on my friends, and hopefully they don't feel that way. um, with me getting my life together financially, I'm hoping that I can be an even better friend and start blessing my friends out the blue. But aside from that, because that was random, but aside from that, just trying to treat people right and be there for them when they need you and do the best you can and enjoy your friendships where you are. And if it ends, it ends. And just knowing that it's not devastating and that you didn't think of this person as more than what they are, because again, don't put your faith or your trust in man or woman, because you will be disappointed every time, no matter who they are to you. And so I had to learn that. I had to learn that. And so I know that I rambled on today, guys. I know I did, but I just felt like I had a lot to share, and I also had a lot to say. And of course, you notice how, like, I started off with knowing that, hey, instead of coming off like a victim, because a lot of people love to say, oh, I was friends with this person and they hurt me and they're wrong. I'm not a victim in this. Like, I had to first acknowledge my role in this and why I am the way I am. I have anxious attachment style, and I've been through trauma, and I'm going through healing right now. And I can fully see the part that I played in this. So I'm not the victim, but that doesn't mean that, it didn't happen and it didn't hurt, because I have feelings, but I won't victimize myself either. So I say all that to say, be self-aware. That's number one. um, in you, in yourself. And why are you putting your hope and your trust in a person? Why? Why do you feel like you need to? Why do you feel like you need someone like that to that extent? And then, secondly, I had to, after I looked at myself and decided not to victimize myself or be a victim or want to be a victim, just looking at it like, hey, I'm happy I got a chance to know that person. They are wonderful. We had plenty of great experiences together, and I wish them the best in life, because that's the best thing to do, to set yourself free and keep yourself free instead of being bitter. Not to walk away from a friendship being that way, because you guys were still friends, whether that was for 2 weeks or 2 years or 20, you were still friends. And y'all still had experiences together. And at one point, y'all were on the same page, but people outgrow each other and people grow apart and people move on with life. That's just what you do. So, um, I hope that this episode helps somebody. I hope that me talking about like myself and what I'm going through and where I am often helps people, because this is why I'm doing that. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I always incorporate God into everything. Of course, I would never have been able to get to this point if God wouldn't have pointed me into therapy. Like, nobody said, hey, maybe you should go to therapy. I was just thinking about it one day, and I just truly believe that God dropped that in my mind, in my spirit, and that was the right choice for me at that time. No matter what, whether I can see it or I can't, because half the time I don't see anything, God is always guiding my footsteps, and He's always writing my story. Well, actually, my story is already written. I'm just following the blueprint that He made, and He is leading me and guiding me by the Spirit, and by Him, by Him Himself. And so, I wouldn't have made it to this point if it had not been for God. And I'm excited to see where I'm going to be in a couple years or further down the line, because God has all of it already worked out. And if you suffer from anxious attachment, or if you've been through any type of trauma, I'm telling you, Starting with yourself is the best thing you could ever do, because I know it's hard, easier said than done, to not look at somebody else as the problem. But as hard as it is to admit, sometimes we are a part of the problem. And so getting help and healing yourself is most important, so that moving forward for the years that we have left on this earth, we can enjoy them and live in abundance. So don't let the devil, the enemy, your trauma, or whatever steal your joy and steal the time that you have left. Don't live in chaos and don't try to function in it when you don't have to. If you didn't listen to Trauma Lessons, again, go back and listen to that episode. I thank you guys for tuning in this week. Hopefully, I dropped some gems, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye, guys.